Hi, everybody. Radical Gardner here. Thanks for joining me. I want to welcome all the new subscribers. We just hit 2,500, so that's really exciting for my little channel. I can just see that it's going to continue to grow. So, yippee! Next, I'm going to rule the world. Just kidding. All right. So, well, we've been looking forward to this. This is, I think, my third interview with Bob Greska of Carbon C60. And as you all know that follow this channel, I'm a huge fan of this product. I've been using it. In April 1st, it'll be a year. And it's changed my life. And I hope Bob doesn't mind me saying this in front of him, but it's also been a game changer for my husband. And even my little dog, 13-year-old Shih Tzu, who has had the really cloudy eyes, we've been putting drops, C60, 1 drop per eye, once a day. And in 2 weeks' time, it's almost completely dissipated. So that's been really terrific. And you can see that he's really relieved. My husband is off all heart medication. He's in his mid-60s, had a heart attack in his 40s. He's an ex-special forces guy, so he used to jump out of airplanes when it wasn't, when it was really hard on the body. They landed on the ground hard. So he had stenosis of the spine. So some real challenges for him. And he used to be on pain medication. He's no longer on any pain medication. And the only thing that he does different is that he's been taking Bob C60. And I always forget all the things that have cleared up for me. Everything from losing weight because of there's when you're getting rid of inflammation, you're losing weight, but also candida, mold, arthritis, and there was adrenal fatigue, so a real lack of energy. I'm almost 70. You can see I don't have any wrinkles. Skin just looks great. I have a big scar here. Well, it's not so big anymore. That's disappearing. It's from a car accident I had in the 70s. Moles, skin tags, sun damage is all pretty much disappeared off my skin. Gray hair is almost no longer, just a little on the sides. So it's, my nails are strong. My body's been revitalized. I think it's miraculous. And I did do some research, like many people do that want to take C60 when they first find out. And many of us end up in the Bob Greska camp because of his history, and we quickly see his dedication to people's health. So he has a lot of people that are really champions for him. And before I get to you, Bob, I want to just tell you, there's a story I just heard today about you. My practitioner, and she's also a colleague, Dr. Snell, and her degree is in quantum medicine. Incredibly bright woman. She did her pre-med at University of Michigan, but she teaches at the Quantum Institute here in Michigan. And she teaches teachers. And one of her teachers is taking C60. And so Gretchen took her to the side. And she said, "What kind of C60 are you taking?" She said, "I tested them all, and hands down, Bob Greska's. I won't take anybody else's." and she tested it. And of course, Gretchen and I tested it too. And then she talked to a woman who is the daughter of Zerbo health store. Now, Zerbo, he was the first health store in the 60s. My mother went to him in the early 60s, maybe mid 60s. And this guy was really a real innovative thinker. And so his daughters have taken up the flag, and they're really run with health and everything. And so she knows Gretchen, and she was telling Gretchen, "Yeah, I'm taking C60." And Gretchen said, "Whose C60 are you taking?" She said, "Well, I tested all of them. The only one I'll even go anywhere near is Bob Greska's." So we just heard that in the last couple of days, Bob, and I thought, great, this is perfect for this interview and some of the things that we really want to address. So anyways, let's just get on with it. Just explain a little bit about C60 for those that are left. There are many people still don't know what it is. and what is it, and then if we can just lead into why is yours different, okay?
Sure, that's fine. You just talk about test results. We have a little test results later in the show we want to show you also, but let me talk first about carbon 60. Carbon 60 is a molecule. It looks like this. This is a model of it, and these little black points are the carbon atoms, and they're held together by these white lines, which are a double bond. So they shares 2 electrons here going back and forth. And so this is like 120 electrons buzzing around this 60 atom ball. And so it very easily gives up an electron. And that's what makes the carbon 60 molecule so important, so why it works so well. It has this ability to give up an electron. And plus the fact that it's so small, it has the mobility to move around in your body. And plus, it's carbon. We're all made out of carbon. It's not anything negative or bad. We've got some test reports that we've done on laboratory mice, rats, and it shows there were no evidence of toxicity, and we have those up on our test and search page on our website. But since the carbon 60 can donate that electron, what it does is you have toxins mainly, or oxidative stress in your body that produces free radicals. And the carbon 60, and a free radical is a molecule that's missing an electron. And so when you take the carbon 60 molecule and it donates an electron, the molecule is no longer mixing an electron, so now it functions. It contributes to your bodily your function instead of sitting there and consuming energy. So that's why most people, after taking it within 4 days, they have more energy, they feel better, they have the vitality. Our slogan, 70 is the new 50 with carbon 60. I mean, that's what people feel. That we get those reports all the time. So.
All right, and so you're real humble. You don't usually bring up what your resume is. But let's talk about what makes you an expert on C60. I mean, why do you know so much about carbon?
Well, I went to college. I studied materials engineering, which is a mechanical engineer. And I specifically studied material science and specifically wanted to go into carbon fiber, specifically graphite epoxy. It's the high strength, strong black fiber that's made out of carbon that they use for tennis rackets, bicycle frames, airplane wings. So I studied carbon from the get-go when I graduated college, and I worked in the aerospace business for many years, working with carbon fibers, graphite epoxy, carbon leading edges. I've even done further experiments on electrolysis using carbon plates. So I've done quite a bit of work with mostly the non-metals, but mostly carbon. So that's my basic background. I worked in the aerospace business, worked on the shuttle tiles, on the first shuttle that flew. I was a process engineer for that. And it just my last job in the aerospace business, I worked for the head of research and development, and I just did special projects that came up because that's kind of what I like to do, and that's where I fit in the company. And it was fun. That was very challenging and fun because we always work at, getting a laser strike from somebody else, another spacecraft. We have to dissipate that heat, and carbon's a very good conductor. So we use that carbon fiber, graphite epoxy or graphite plates to conduct the heat away from a laser strike to protect the satellites. So.
Well, so then you're a carbon scientist, correct? I mean, that's
for over 40 years, yes. I hate to date myself, but I've been in the carbon business for over 4 decades.
Yeah. Well, welcome for being in the public eye. That's fun, isn't it? How do you like going from the lab into the YouTube? Wow, there's a jump. I was ready to be on YouTube. I was in show business for 40 years. Okay.
Well, I'm one of those guys that goes in the laboratory and you work there. You forget to eat lunch. Yeah, that's me.
Yeah, right, exactly. Yes. I know we're yanking you out of there and saying, listen, you need to defend your C60. And it's like, that's so funny. Okay, so let's talk about how many milligrams of C60 are in a bottle, let's say from, let's take Chris Werland's product. And there's many products out there, but because, he's kind of, he's called you out there's no real elegant way to say this, but he has, and he's been very derogatory. So let's just talk about what are the differences. Let's just be scientific about this, okay?
Okay, well, as you look, many people ask how many milligrams of carbon-60 you have in your product, and we really don't disclose that because that's not the real issue here. It's how many sites of carbon you have available. The more sites you have, the more available they are. We make very, very tiny, and let me hold up a picture here. We'll put this up on the screen here, but this here is, you can see the smallness of size of our particles, and this is compared to other carbon-60 products out there. These are the same magnification here, and the same magnification here. This is our product, and this is another C60 product. We produce tiny spheres of carbon-60, and they're very, very small. And we don't produce crystalline C60, and that makes a difference. So it's the number of particles. For instance, if you take this ball is full of BBs. Okay. Now a BB represents they're very small. I have one in my hand here. This represents the size of, and these are to scale. These represents the size of our particle of carbon-60, our sphere, and this represents, even though this is spherical, this should be a crystalline form. It should look like a diamond or a quartz crystal. But you can see we can fit, and we did. We actually put many carbons of these spheres inside of it. So it's not, if you have say this weight a gram, and what we have is a gram of BBs inside of it. I mean, we have. There's about 4,000 of these that can fit inside. So there's quite a few that can go in here. You can see how many. So size makes a big difference, and the smaller the particle size is the importance. It's not how much, these weigh the same amount. Okay, there's more in here. There's quite a few here. Actually, there should be more. This is about 2,400 BBs that we're looking at right here. And so each one of these BBs will work as good as this works. So if you have more sites, that's why the weight doesn't matter. They both weigh the same, but if you have more surface area, that's what makes them more effective.
All right. That actually was great explanation. It allows me to understand it even more so.
Yeah.
All right, so it's not weight, it's about the number of spheres, correct?
Yes. Yeah, the number of carbon-60 spheres, and we have 4,000 times as much as these clusters. You know, this is how we produce it. We produce it small. We don't have to mortise and pestle and grind our powder. It comes out, we make it in a small form, and that's, being a carbon scientist for 40 years has helped me to develop this process. Ours has been tested. We got pictures. Ours works really well. People report tremendous results with it. So that's why and by weight, it's not a weight factor, but by volume, we have just about 0.5% of carbon-60 in a bottle by volume. So this is 99.5% sunflower oil and about a little less than 0.5% of carbon. But the number of particles we have in each serving, now our serving is since we get ours so concentrated, our serving is very small. Our serving is a little over half a drop or about that much, and it's just once a day in your mouth. There's no taste to it. We have no taste on our product because we use a high-grade sunflower oil, and there's no taste of the carbon. There shouldn't be any taste of the carbon. Ours has no taste, so that's why we like it.
Yeah. That's why I like it too. And actually, my dog doesn't mind it. I have a cat that really, I don't know why my cat likes it. I mean, my cat thinks it tastes great, but I don't know what that's all about. Okay, so let's see. So tell me, how are you able to do this? I mean, how do you get it so concentrated, and why, I know that's what makes you special because I've taken other C60s. There was a significant difference. By the way, we tested it too. Yours was off the chart. I mean, we did it by electrodermal testing and all the testing that we do, like to see what vitamins I should take. And, with my health practitioner, we applied the same test to your C60, and we compared it to two others, and it was ridiculous. I mean, yours was just, it was more than what we thought it was.
Oh,
So I mean, I'm coming to it as a believer. I mean, and also when Dr. Snell saw it, she said, yeah, this is the one that you should take. I mean, that was just plain and simple. But how are you able to do this?
well, we perfected a process of making the carbon 60 spheres, the very small spheres, extremely small in size. So we perfected that process. It took us years to, at first I made a very small amount of it in a laboratory, and it was a tiny amount. And then I had to tweak the process and ran it again. This was in 2012 was when I first discovered how to make the carbon 60, and we did it with a solvent-free process. So we don't make crystals of carbon 60. We make spheres, so we don't have to grind them. So as we make spheres, and we don't use any solvents in our process, and that's the basic difference. We perfected this process to make it. Most every other industry that makes carbon 60, they take two carbon rods and they burn them together, or they hit it with a laser and make the carbon come off, and then they take that soot. They put it into toluene, is the most common solvent, because that dissolves the carbon 60. And the things that are not carbon 60 fall to the bottom or float to the top, and they take those off, and they take that solvent of toluene and carbon 60 and they dry the solvent off. And when they dry the solvent off, the molecules get closer and closer together, and they form crystals. And and they heat it and they bake it. So between the drying process and the vacuum oven drying process that they use, some of the carbon bonds chemically to the toluene, and some of it also gets trapped inside the lattice structure of the carbon 60 molecule. And so they get most of it out, but not all of it. You can never get it completely out, So that's a difference between ours and theirs. We produce this very small from the get-go. We mix ours only for a couple of minutes, where other people try to mix theirs for 2 weeks to try to break things apart more. And when you mix it for 2 weeks, you're doing other things. You're introducing oxygen into the oil also, which causes oxidation. So your shelf life of your oil goes shorter quicker. We use organic sunflower oil, which has a notorious long shelf life, and we don't mix it for hours. We only mix it for a few minutes, so we introduce very little air to it.
Okay. Wow, great. Okay, so moving on. So I'm going to read. And you know what? Please do mention that yours is the only food grade C60.
Okay, ours is the only food grade C60.
But
it is
really
because
important.
Yeah, it's very important. Ours is the only food grade in the world because we don't produce it with solvents. We're the only one that can claim that. And we have all this data and information and laboratory tests and toxicity tests up on our website. It shows that. You can look at it at c-60.com and go there and click on the science at the top and read all the laboratory reports that we have. We have more scientific data on our website than the rest of the industry combined has on their website.
I know. People just have to go to your website
Yes.
and read it. All right, so I'm going to read a letter. I'm on a forum, and it's an open forum where we all can go and discuss and have really healthy discourse about the different C60s. So many of us are, fans of Bob's product, and we take it, but not everybody. Other people take other product, and that's great. Whatever people think works for them, God bless them. But we're not allowed to go on other forums that are headed up by these other companies, these 60 companies. They actually won't allow us on for any discourse, which, I mean, really? All right, so I don't know what they're so afraid of. I guess the truth. So let me read this letter from Vin, because Vin was one of the first people that I connected with through my YouTube channel, that I think he was already taking C60. And but anyways, here's a letter from him. He says, I left this comment in the comment section of the video, and he's responding to the video that was attacking your product. He says, I feel that this guy is just another paid fraud. I'm going to leave as many of the company names out as I can. This video is nothing but a pile of horse manure. Why this debate even continues is beyond me, except the possibility that this troll is working for Bob Greska's competition. I don't believe this character's claim that he spent $1,000 of his own money for a COA just because he's a benevolent man who cares so much about the public. What a joke. Bob Greska has 40 plus years experience in working with carbon as a NASA engineer. On his website, he has already provided ample evidence that his product is not only real C60, but superior to other C60 brands on the market because he does not use any toxic solvents like, I always say this wrong, toluene in the process. I can't say
it right. Toluene.
Toluene in the process. I have seen great results, just like many of my friends have seen by using Bob C60. Results that are not possible by using just activated charcoal. I know I crack up from that. I go, yeah, activated charcoal got rid of my arthritis. And, don't forget, you guys, you go through and Google for Radical Gardner C60, and I have photographs of my blood every 3 months and how it changed while I was taking this. So believe me, I've got proof. That's why they don't argue with me, because I've got proof. Results that are not possible by using just activated charcoal. That 13C NMR only tests for crystalline C60. Get it, guys? Crystalline C60, i.e. C60 stuck together in a crystal form. Bob C60 is a non-crystalline, so of course it would show up as negative. Since Bob Greska manufactures his own C60 in-house by his proprietary process without using solvents, his has no crystals. On the flip side, if this troll were to test the other C60 brands for non-crystalline C60, theirs would show up negative for non-crystalline C60. Don't be fooled by these drive-by attacks on a good product. Do your research before listening to fake news like this. This so-called COA was set up to fail from the start. That's a really powerful letter. That's from somebody that had some real health issues and is doing really well now.
Yeah, thank you, Vin, for those kind words. And true words. Yeah, that test, that 13C NMR, is a test that is traditionally only tested crystalline carbon 60 and not non-crystalline, because they've never tested our product with it, because we've never run the test, and we don't release our powder out to the general public or to anybody. So ours has never been tested. But there are some other on that. I just want to go over some of the pitfalls of that testing sequence that they did. Now the test, the NMR, the 13C NMR test is, it's a reasonable test. It's very difficult to operate. It's not the test itself, but it was how it was conducted. When they tested our oil, which is in oil, and they tested it and compared it to powder. They compared oil to powder. You can look. We stop framed the video, and you can see one was fullerenes and one was my oil. So you can look at that. They tested them at 2 different days, 2 different laboratories, 2 different test apparatus. And if it's an operator dependent test, you can't do that. Just the method of conduction of the test was not very good. So I don't know, if you want to do a good test, you want to compare apples to apples, and at the same day, same test, same operator, same equipment, so that anybody's carbon 60 oil product would fail that test. You need a rather large sample of carbon, and I mean you can get it like this, but you can't pull enough of carbon out of the oil to make it work. I mean, trust me, there's billions of particles in here. We have over 100 billion per serving, per dropperful. That's how many are in here. But it's in an oil suspension, which is different than testing powder. So that test was set up for failure right from the get-go.
Well, I mean, there's not enough C60 in that bottle to test because it's nanoparticles. Isn't that correct? I mean, when you're talking about Is that correct?
Yes, they're very small. They're very small. They're nano in size, and in order to find them in there, I mean, well, it's very black. You can see it's loaded. It's loaded with carbon. I mean, don't get me wrong. We're not going to, this is loaded with carbon, but the amount you need is a much greater quantity than what's in here. Now, traditionally, this will make a quart of carbon 60 oil, and if they tested anybody else's product, their oil product, there's not enough to pull it out of the oil to get it. So anybody's carbon 60 oil product would fail the 13 NMR test.
Well, that's the thing. Then test everybody's.
Yeah, then test everybody. Yeah, let's do it. Let's compare everybody's.
Yeah, let's do a different one. Oh my God. Okay, so I've got another letter here, if that's all right with you.
Sure.
I know this. I like to show you off, Bob. Anyway, so this says Erica. Boy, is she smart! Isn't she smart? She is smart as whip, this girl. Anyway, I go to her all the time if I have any questions. If I, between my practitioner and some questions that are really specific to C60, I go to her because she's very knowledgeable. Well, as soon as she saw that test, she said, "It's another amateur prop video, most likely." And she said, courtesy of whoever, who can't stand the success that Bob Greska is having with his unique C60. Well, that's how we differentiate yours from others, as we just say, go to C60.com. He should have known that somebody in their viewing audience would point out that in order to run a C13 NMR analysis, you need at least 20 to 50 milligrams of the substance being analyzed. But you guys, that's huge. The 1 milligram of C60 in a bottle of any producer's C60 oil is not enough to run that test. So, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's good. It's wonderful that people like Erica and other people have defended our product and come to it because you're right. Erica is very smart. She's she digs into it. She finds her results and she posts. I've seen many of her posts, and I want to personally thank Erica and everybody else for supporting us.
Yeah, and another one is Tanya. Boy, she's another one that's really championed your product. She's she's just like the rest of us. She says, if I find something that works better than Bob Greska C60, I'll take it. I've said the same thing, but I just can't imagine what it would be. I mean, it would have to be, because it's pure. So how are we going to get any better than what you've got? And then we have another, just one more question here. And you and I talked about a little bit about this before, but Barry, there's a couple of these we just don't have the answers to, but I'll go ahead and ask the questions anyway. Sure. He said, I saw your request for questions on the C60. Below are several connected questions. What is the best way to take C60 to encourage the most autophagy, highest stem cell generation, and longest average telomere length? So you and I were talking about this, Bob, and you pretty much say the same to anybody that's asking about dosage. Just consistently and the recommended dose, correct?
Yeah, the recommended dose, our product is so concentrated, you don't have to take very much of it. All other competitors, you have to take like 2 teaspoons of it, or sometimes 3 they recommend, per day. This one here is 1/8 of a teaspoon, just this much of it in a pipette. This bottle lasts 45 days. Price-wise, we're extremely competitive because this is a 45-day supply. It comes out to about $46 a month if you buy it off of our website. So that's the way to purchase it. So it's just highly concentrated. Once a day in the mouth. Consistency is important on startup. If you start taking it 2 days, 2 days off, 2 days on, you're not going to notice the results because we have 95% of the people who take our product within the first week, they'll notice some results. Most of them report more energy. They have more vitality. They feel better. Well, you can imagine it's taking all those free radicals that are tiny roadblocks throughout your whole body, and it releases those roadblocks, so now your body has more energy to heal itself and more energy to perform, and that's why you feel the more energy.
Well, and you and I've talked about this, and I talk about this on my channel a lot. Is that free radicals? Okay, so now you've got whatever whatever has created your free radicals that creates the disease, which creates free radicals. So what I'm saying is free radicals then create their own set of free radicals. So if you're not constantly on top of that, it's really hard to get beyond whatever your illness may be. So just take it consistently so that you always have it in your system. That's what my intuition told me. And so I've taken it every single day. And then for a year, and I think in the last 3 months, I've taken it twice a day. I went real slow with this because I was detoxing. And your process of elimination, like your gallbladder, the bile ducts, the different ducts can get really stuck because so much is being eliminated. So you have to be very careful. Please aid your C60 with any kind of tool for elimination. Lymphatic massage, homeopathics that help to drain the system, to drain the organs. If you can, if you're well enough, if you're strong enough, exercise. Get on a little trampoline and get the body moving. I had arthritis. It was really hard for me to move around. Now I'm moving around a lot. Now I'll start exercising, and I won't have to worry so much about getting that stuff out of my system. But please make sure that you do that. And if you're taking a whole bunch of C60 at once, you may overload the system so it can't eliminate. Don't you agree, Bob?
Well, we haven't noticed that. We noticed that, if people, when they're starting up with the C60, they go through a detox, because what happens is toxins are actually looking for electrons. That's a definition of a toxin, really, is an electron stealer. They come into your body like the heavy metals. Well, they're a little bit denser because they're a metal and they got more so their electron pull is stronger to pull an electron off of a molecule. So instead of pulling it off a molecule, you put some carbon-60 there and it pulls an electron off the carbon-60. So it neutralizes that toxin, and most of them, this works very quickly, like within a few minutes in your body. It's like throwing like a bunch of round magnets in your bathtub and they all collect together immediately. Well, that's because the particles, or the carbon-60 spheres, are so small that they can feel that magnetic attraction from electron to carbon-60. Yeah. So they go through there, and they attach to it and they neutralize it.
We're saying the same thing, because you're saying it acts so fast, and that's exactly what I'm saying. It acts really fast, and so sometimes the body's overwhelmed with the elimination. Now, that's my experience in many people. So, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, usually the first day or two, people may have diarrhea, pushing out the toxins on the first day, but that's about it. And that's a good thing. You want that, because you want those toxins removed. I want to show you something, Kate. I want to show you I got a new model here, and this represents a mitochondria. Now, and these are all to scale. This is the scale to this, and this is the scale to our carbon-60 sphere. So, and the mitochondria also, to scale this to like a cell of your body, would be the size of a house. So this is a carbon-60 molecule. This is a mitochondria, and there's about 1,000 or 2,000 of these mitochondria that are in each cell of your body, and that's what generates the powerhouse. The mitochondria is the powerhouse of your cell. So when you generate the free radicals, most of them are generated from the mitochondria. So the carbon-60 is small enough to get inside the mitochondria and I lost my baby. To get inside the mitochondria and neutralize the free radicals as they're generated. Now, it's like an antioxidant. Now, the antioxidants you get from food, like berries, red wine, leafy green spinach, and so forth, and kale, they're this big. They're this large, so they can't really get into the mitochondria. So that's the big difference. They can't get in, and that's what makes carbon-60 such a revolution, is that it neutralizes the free radicals. You can get inside and neutralize right where they're generated. And that's the breakthrough. This is it. They get inside. So I just want to put that to scale.
All right. So what's new? I mean, have you done any more testing?
Oh my gosh, this is the pinnacle of the show.
Just, what? That's so typical of a scientist.
I'm so excited.
Yay!
I'm so excited about this. Yes, indeed. Yeah, we do testing, on a daily basis. We do incoming quality control inspections on our products and bottles, make sure they're all clean and up to specifications. But we did do some testing recently. We did some. We have pictures, transmission electron microscope pictures. That again do show how small our carbon-60 spheres are compared to anybody else's in the world. The big test that we just got in, we have we did a mass spec test, which actually it's a time of flight, and this has been a long. To get this piece of paper has been a long road because all the other carbon-60 testing methods are based on solvent-produced carbon-60. We actually went back to a test method that was actually used by Smalley and Croteau, a very similar test, almost identical. Equipment has changed between 1985, when Smalley and Croteau discovered the carbon-60 molecule. And when the discovery, the Nobel Prize winning discovery of the carbon-60, they use a test very similar to like this. It's a time of flight mass spec test. And you can see right here, I'm going to hold this up to the camera. You can see how the point here points out, it peaks up as carbon-60. And basically, it has a weight here. It shows 720. That's because the carbon-60 atom weighs 12, and 60 times 12 is 720. We got the peak right here. So we have absolute, unquestionable by a certified lab at one of the accredited universities that shows that we actually have carbon-60 in a product. Ta-da!
Yeah, ta-da! Right, exactly.
Yeah, really. Yeah. I mean, that's been a long time coming. We had to find the right test.
Yeah, exactly.
Because solvent produced. Everybody went towards a solvent test to prove it. And since we don't have solvents, it's not a good test. But going back to Smalley and Croteau, that's it. That nailed it.
It don't get no better than that, folks. Okay, so all right. So, are you going to be doing any more testing?
Well, we're going to test some incoming materials. Yes, we're going to do some more testing. We always do test. We test and test and test. We want to make sure. We want to verify quality control. Yes, and we'll send out some different laboratories all the time. Very similar, like we did this test here. This test was our carbon-60. This was done. This is a picture of carbon-60 from the Biomed Central 60, and this one's from Tokyo. And they show representative pictures of carbon-60, and ours looks the same. Ours looks very similar. So that's picture's worth 1,000 words. So.
Yes, wonderful.
Yeah, wonderful.
All right, so I just want to ask you, I mean, I think I know why, but let me ask you this. Why didn't you do these tests earlier proving that you had C60 in your product?
Well, it would have been nice to do those tests earlier, but as I stated a little bit ago, is that, all the test techniques have drifted towards using solvents in the solvent-produced carbon-60 world, the industrial grade. Since we didn't use solvents, we had to find a test that wasn't based on solvents.
Got it.
And
okay.
so that's why we tried all those other tests with not very good success, because we're not produced with solvents. That's why we searched for a test, and like I said, we went back to the time of Smalley and Croteau, 1985, to use the same very similar test method that they used.
Right. Well, so I mean, we'll wrap it up here, but I mean, I think that this is definitely enough information for people to make their an educated decision on what it is that they want to do and what they want to take. Of course, we're not telling anybody to. I tell people, but I don't make the product. And I say, I think this is how I always put it. It really works for me. I highly recommend it. Take what you want, but it recommends. Right. I recommend it because it really works for me, and that's where you have to leave things. But anyways, well, I want to thank you. I know how busy you are.
Well,
yes, go ahead.
One more thing.
Sure,
If you study all the certifications, they're up on our website. You can look at them. We're publicly, we have a transparency here. If you study these certifications, if you're somewhat of a scientist or not, you can look at them. And the test results show that our carbon 60 is the cleanest, the purest, the most concentrated bioavailable carbon 60 on the market. And you can study those reports and you can see that. We're the only ones that can claim food grade carbon 60 in the world. Nobody else can do that. So take a look at the test results, do your own study, and make your own decision. But we've had tremendous success with this product, tremendous success.
Yeah, I know you're really proud of it, and you should be. Worked really, really hard. So, you know, we have a lot of support. You know, I say marching on and on to really big and wonderful things, which we're just at the beginning of this. Who knows where this is all going to lead to, but it's definitely key in our health. Also, we didn't get to this, but I just want to say a little bit about this. For a lot of people that follow my YouTube channel are very interested in the atmospheric changes and cosmic ray flux and the increased toxicity that's happening as far as, you know, the magnetosphere. And I've said that I'm a gardener. I'm out all the time. Joe and I were on vacation. We're in the Mojave Desert. If you want to get blasted with the sun, that's it. And there's, we couldn't even get sunburned. I mean, we'd get burned a little bit and then it would turn to tan. So I really feel with this changing planet and the different changes that we're going to be, environmental changes that we're going to be facing, that C60 can be a real key part of us maintaining our health. Now, that's my personal opinion, because that's one of the things that it showed when they were doing the studies with the rats and or the mice, is that it was great combatant for radiation. Yes. So this is something for us to really keep front and center in our minds when we're moving forward in maybe some challenging times. But thank you so much, Bob. All right. Well, anyways, everybody, thanks, Bob. Radical Gardener. From my garden to yours, may your garden always grow. May you guys just be as healthy as you possibly can be. Thanks so much for joining us. This was really important for Bob and I to do it because we believe so strongly about this product. So thanks again, Bob. You have a great day, okay?
Great. Thank you, Kate. Thanks for having me on the show.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.